What happens when we treat failure as method? That is the simple, uncomfortable question behind False Positives, a compact, critical publication created at the Royal Academy of Art in The Hague within the Master Photography and Society program. The work was produced during a 6-week seminar called The Liquid Image, taught in 2018 to 2019 by Adam Broomberg and Shailoh Phillips. This is not a conventional photo book or a tidy student portfolio. It's a deliberate experiment, a group of emerging practitioners exploring the edges of what photography promises and where it falls short. Over a concentrated period, 14 students interrogated machine vision, blockchain scarcity, hybrid photo objects, virtual reality and performance, race and technology, traumatic memory, and even the strange new category that critics call non-human photography, images made for, and sometimes by, machines. Let's begin with provenance and people. The course tutors were Adam Broomberg, an established conceptual photographer known for politically driven, research-based projects, and Shailoh Phillips, who teaches theory and research methods in the program. The student contributors, named in the KABK notices, include alexandercabezatrigg, chrisbacher, gitacoopervaningen, watercosta, guglielmogiomi, madsholm, maricakostyukov, dmitrykostyukov, nolaminolfi, ananunezrodriguez, olgaroszkowska, shadmanshahid, thijsvanstigt, and anastasiazhetvina. The seminar's brief read like a map of contemporary anxieties about images. Each week paired readings with short experimental assignments. Students didn't simply make pictures, they tested claims. If an emerging technology said it could see better than a human, could it? If the blockchain promised scarcity and value for a digital file, who benefits and who is excluded? If algorithms produce truth from millions of pixels, whose truth is it? These were practical, methodological questions, not rhetorical ones. To understand why a class like this matters, we need a context. In the late 2010s, 3 conversations were reshaping the landscape of imaging. First, machine vision. Systems trained on biased datasets repeatedly produced inaccurate or harmful results, a problem scholars like Joy Buolamwini and Timnit Gebru documented in projects such as Gender Shades. The conclusion was stark. Automated vision inherits social and historical bias unless we care to redesign it. Second, digital scarcity. The blockchain and the rise of NFTs raised provocative questions about value, ownership, and the environmental cost of proving digital uniqueness. Third, non-human photography, a theoretical turn that asks whether images might be produced for sensors, drones, or neural networks rather than for human eyes. False Positives sit squarely at this crossroads. What did the students actually explore? The publication organizes experiments along a cluster of themes. One cluster addressed artificial scarcity. Small projects asked what it means to give a digital image a certificate of uniqueness and whether scarcity can be ethically engineered in a medium that is by nature infinitely reproducible. Another group worked on the photograph as object, hybrid pieces that cross into sculpture and performance, testing how a printed image, when suspended, carved, stitched, or worn, changes its meaning. A third focus examined race and computational vision. These experiments were explicitly political. Students staged simple datasets, tested off-the-shelf recognition tools, and documented how misclassification fractures dignity and misdirects surveillance practices. Alongside this, other projects treated collective trauma and archival failure, how photographs can both hold and fail to resolve traumatic pasts, how the archive often consolidates absence rather than presence. Crucially, the course also looked at non-human photography. Some experiments imagined images designed for machine consumption or for training other images. That sounds abstract, but the practical consequences are not. When cameras and algorithms are no longer tools for human viewers, but components of automated decision systems, the criterion for what counts as a good image changes. The KABK students asked, if a picture is meant for a neural net, what signature does it leave for humans? The form of false positives reflects its method. It reads like a lab notebook: short essays, documentary spreads, speculative mockups, and object documentation, rather than glossy reproductions. It is both a record and an argument, a way to make visible the small failed operations that nonetheless teach you something important. KABK presented the publication in academic and photobook circuits, at the Other Book Festival in The Hague, and at POLYCOPIES during Paris Photo in November 2019. Those contexts matter. The work was not hidden in a seminar room. It was offered to the photobook community and to curators who care about critical publishing. What can you, as a viewer or a listener, take from this project? First, the pedagogical move is significant. False positives treats failure as an epistemological tool. Students are asked to fail fast, to iterate, and to document what didn't work. In a culture where student work is often polished for boutique presentation, this is a radical insistence on process. It's a reminder that in research-based art education, the experiment is the content. Second, the project interrogates photographic authority. Throughout modern life, photographs are proffered as evidence. In journalism, in law enforcement, in historical memory. But what if those images are produced by systems that misread or misrepresent? By focusing on false positives, on the misidentifications, the misclassifications, and the misattributions, the book underscores photography's epistemic vulnerability. This is not to discredit the medium. It's to insist on humility, on the need for transparency about how images are produced and used. Third, false positives is materially curious. The hybrid works remind us that contemporary photographers often use objects, performance, and code as equal partners. A printed page can be a prop, a wearable, a sculptural skin. This material hybridity nudges the photobook onto the same terrain as contemporary art: object, archive, and argument. There are, however, limits to what we can learn from public records. At the time of this recording, KABK has published project descriptions and contributor names, and the festival listings document its public appearances. But we do not have a public PDF of the full publication, nor do we have widely distributed high-resolution spreads or comprehensive critical reviews beyond the Academy. That modest circulation is not a failure. It's typical of independent student publishing, but it matters if you want to show images in a video or quote long extracts. If you plan to make a piece about false positives, here are practical next steps. Contact the KABK Master Photography and Society program. Request a sample copy or a press PDF, and if possible, ask permission to show a few spreads. Alternatively, contact the tutors, Adam Broomberg and Shailoh Phillips, or reach out to one of the student contributors. Many emerging artists will gladly share work for a responsible feature. Now let's think about how you can narrate this material in a compelling 13-minute video. Start with a tight hook. Ask the audience, what does it mean when an image is wrong? Then move quickly into provenance. Who made the book, where, and why? Use short read-aloud quotes from the KABK description. For example, the field of tension, between what photography claims to be able to do and the many ways in which it fails. That line sums the project's ambition and is ear-catching in audio. When you describe the seminar's 6 thematic clusters, anchor each with an example or a visual signifier. A mocked-up NFT token for the blockchain unit, a worn, stitched photobook spread for the hybrid objects, a data table or misclassified face for the race and machine vision work, and a dusty archive card for trauma and memory. If you cannot show student images, show symbolic visuals and keep your narration specific about method. Explain how students experimented with datasets, staged performances, or built small VR prototypes. List contributor names slowly during a page-turn moment, so the production feels like a collective voice rather than a single author's statement. Conclude by making the case for why this project matters to a broader audience. False Positives is small in circulation, but large in intent. It is pedagogy as provocation and a rehearsal for the kinds of ethical dilemmas that will define image culture over the next decade. Invite the viewer to ask questions. Who decides what images count? Which failures should we pay attention to? How does a photo book teach the public to read algorithmic vision? Finally, provide a short practical call to action. Point viewers to the KABK pages in your description, invite them to request copies if they are researchers, and ask your audience to comment if they have leads on scans or if they'd like you to contact the students for interviews. This turns an academic project into a participatory investigation, which is exactly how False Positives began. False Positives asks us to look closely at the things that look most certain. It asks artists to fail carefully and to publish the lessons. In doing so, it models a practice that is both humble and urgent, a practice worth watching, sharing, and continuing.